blushing. All right, so my name is Marina. My story starts off a lot like many of yours. A lot of pain, a lot of heartache, but God has radically transformed my life in so many areas, in so many ways. So growing up, I lived with my mom, and she was really never around. So I had to stay with my Nana and her sexually abusive husband. So from the time I was 4 until I was 8, I was being sexually molested and had no way out. Because my mom was never there, so I felt unprotected. I was scared. I didn't know how to, at that age, you don't really know how to verbalize any of that. So instead, I internalized it. So even at a young age, when my mom had an abusive boyfriend who would throw things at the wall, he'd put me outside in the snow because we lived up in Massachusetts because he didn't want me. He didn't want me around. So rejection, fear, anxiety was inept into me as a little girl. And it just continued. There was this long, toxic process that I had to endure and go through. But God had a hand on me even then. So, the older I got, I turned 7 and I was diagnosed with ADHD because of all the trauma and all of the sexual abuse and the physical abuse and mental abuse. So I was like the black sheep at school. Those little kids, they're like kind of awkward and weird. That was me. I was like desperate for that friend, desperate for someone to care about me and love me. And I just didn't have that. I actually pushed people away because how strong I came on. And so I remember at the age of 7, laying in my bed at night, I would surround myself with my toys and I would just act out my funeral and just cry and act like someone cared for me for once. But Jesus was there. I didn't know that at the time. So growing up, I never fit in, and that scared little girl just wanted to be loved. I wanted to be appreciated. So guess what? I had no control over my life. So what does a little girl do? I started fires. I became a pyro as a child. And I started lighting fires at my school, in the bathroom, at home. I would melt my toys because it was the only sense of control I had. And so fast forward, as I got older, I was still the black sheep at school. I was bullied so much to the point where I was like, screw it. So when I was 12 years old, I was already strung out on meth. I was like, I don't care. I grew up in a house with a bunch of partiers, so all I knew was the drug life. My mom, she was a partier. She thought it was cool for us to mix her drinks, So I grew up in that kind of environment. But God, right? Because I am, guess what? I'm in recovery. I'm 8 years clean. And you know what? I had all hell against me. All hell. All odds were against me. But surrendering to my Father, to Jesus Christ, because I didn't have an earthly father that I cared about or that loved me. All I knew was abuse, right? And for years I allowed it to obstruct my view of God, but not anymore. That's not who I am. That's not who He is. So I know there's some people in here tonight that has this God complex because your earthly father wasn't there, your mother wasn't there. God loves you. He died for you. He's waiting. He's saying, come to me, Shelby. I care about you. I love you. I want your burdens. Lay them on me. He cares about your struggles. He cares about your victories. So just give it to Him. I went through the abusive relationships. I went through near-death experiences, overdoses, suicide attempts. But that does not define me. That doesn't define who I was. Who I was is in the past. That old person is dead and gone. Because Jesus, I tried to get clean over and over and over. How many people in here, raise your hand, have gone to multiple programs be your last one. With a surrendered heart, this could be your last one. But it takes the work. It takes working on the traumas that you haven't been willing to face. You can't just sweep it under the rug and be like, I ain't dealing with this. Because it'll always come back up, and it'll be what takes you back out every single time. Every time. And I can attest to that because I've been there. And so, I don't know who came in here feeling like damaged goods tonight, but your past does not define you. Your mistakes does not define you. Nothing in the past defines you. Your parents, yeah, they're drug addicts. That's not who you are. And I'm tired. In recovery, I'm so tired of people coming in the rooms. I'm an alcoholic. I'm a drug addict. No, you're not. You're a child of God. You are set free. So start walking in it. Start walking as a child of God that you have been called to. Stop wearing those labels that people want to put on you. Your past is over. It is dead and gone. It is dead and gone. And I'm so grateful to be here tonight. I'm so grateful that I get to talk about my past, because you know what? I'm kicking the freaking devil in the face right now. He don't want you to talk about what you've gone through. He don't want you to share it. He wants you to shut up. He wants you to be quiet. Because guess what? You can't share hope that way. If you speak out loud, you can give someone else hope. Hey, come on, I've gone through what you've gone through. Just follow me. I know there's a way out. There's light on the other side of this, but you have to work on it. Jesus cares. So it all starts with surrender. So if you do have anything here tonight that you're holding on to, leave it here, right here. Come up tonight, leave it here. The second part, okay, you're in a program now. And thank God for all the program directors telling you what to do, because your best thinking has got you in these seats. And praise God for it. Because we were crazy. We didn't know how to act right. God, I couldn't even tie my shoe. I need somebody to tell me, pick up your dishes. I needed that. I needed Granny. I went through New Beginnings. Everybody told me it was a cult, and it is not. It is Bible boot camp. But it is there that I encountered the love of God that I have never felt in my life, ever. He set me free, but you know what? I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. So one night, I was high out of my mind. I'm not even gonna lie, I was high out of my mind. I was pregnant, and I was like, you know what? I just can't do this. I was in an abusive relationship. The next morning, I had an appointment, but God arrested me that night. So I didn't make the biggest mistake I would have made, okay? I went to jail, and I sat my crazy butt in jail. Cindy August is somewhere in here.
Woo!
And Barbara too. They did the jail ministry for Free Chapel, okay? I was like, God, I don't need no program. I don't want a program. But if you let me out, I'll just go to Free Chapel. Well, guess what? He knew I was crazy, and I needed more than that. Because there was so much trauma and so much stuff I had never dealt with or faced. So it took me, he was like, no, Marina, you need to come here. So I pull up on their property. They came and got me two days before Christmas. And I felt a peace I had never felt before in my life. And I just broke. I was like, this is my new home. I feel at home. So I encourage you, if you're in these programs, make the best of it. You either give it your all or you don't. And guess what? Either you stay sober and you don't, and it's not your program's fault. It's your own if you don't make it, because you weren't surrendered. You weren't surrendered. So Jesus came, right? Jesus was there. He healed me. I was so full of anger, rage. I couldn't stand people. I couldn't stand myself. I was filled with so much hate. You could feel it walking around me. When I came into the office, I was not very Christian then, okay? I can't have my phone. What? Those same people, places, and things will take you back. That person you're hanging on to that's out there still strung out on meth or drugs or whatever, you're like, no, he's gonna get right. I'm in here getting right, but he'll get right after. No, that God ain't calling you to be with that. So let it go. And it's gonna suck and it's gonna be hard. But being a Christian, being here, it's not easy. It takes work, it takes sacrifice. And so I just encourage you, if you're here, surrender, put in the work, and you will get through this. There is hope. I'm so glad we're having these. So glad, because you know what? In a world right now, it's not a matter of if you die, you go out there. It's a matter of when you die, if you go back out, because drugs ain't the same. They're not. They'll take you out just like that. People are dropping left and right. So tonight, I encourage you to make the step, to make the decision. Give your life over, surrender, and just hold on to the hope that you get here tonight. And I just hope y'all have been encouraged. But we're gonna open up with worship, and thank y'all.